One. Welcome back to the Four Podmen Collector's Corner Edition, the wrestling podcast we bring you each and every week on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube, smash that subscribe and bell notification button. Anchor audio versions of the show are available out on Anchor. And joining me tonight to go through some of his prize collectible pieces, the one, the only Ian Kelly. Ian, how you doing, my man?
I'm looking forward to this one, man, because last week's one was great with Craig and all. It was kind of like I could see. I love seeing that passion for collecting things, like, and I am Mr. Collector, as you know. You and me hold many things in common.
Yeah.
I think the only thing that we don't have in common is that I'm not married and that I don't have kids. But aside from that, we're pretty on the same page.
Both of which affects your ability to be a collector financially. Don't worry. I always say to people, like, if you're a pro wrestling, there's not a pro wrestling fan that I know that isn't a collector of figures or belts or memorabilia or shirts or something really cool related to wrestling. I'm
gonna crack a beer for this one as well, because I'm very excited for this one. So.
Absolutely. But tell us, so when did this kind of the collectible thing kind of started? Like, are you a Hasbro man, or you?
Yeah.
So
that's
you're back
exactly where it started. What do you have, Niall, on me? About 10, 12 years?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Roughly. So you would have been kind of at an age to know that when the Hasbros came out, you were kind of just at that stage where you were getting into your teens, and I was probably getting into, let's say 89, 1990, roughly. We're talking about that year, where I was the kid. And when I saw, like, and there was this is a real cool story. This is what I love about these conversations, and it always brings a smile to my face. And the great thing about podcasts is I can see my smile on my face now, because I never know how it's coming across to other people. And there was a place in Bray Main Street, and it's on the corner there, beside Connolly Square. I know many people around the world are going, what the fuck are you talking about? But anyway, it's in Bray, is a small little town in Ireland where everyone knows Katie Taylor and Finn Balor are from. But there was literally nothing in it aside from a beach and amusement park. We had it's the Blackpool of Ireland, put it that way. I think that's probably the best way to describe it, or it was anyway. And there was this small little toy shop called Harris's. You probably remember it, do you, Noel?
I do, yeah. Remember it well.
Yeah, it was called Harris's, and they used to do all the little plane models and all the little paints and stuff. But the further you got down into this tiny little shop, now in my world at that time, it was the biggest place in the world. You know what I mean? Yeah. But realistically, now when I look at it, I think it's like an off license now or something. So it's apropos for Ireland. It was just the biggest. It was like going into the closet, like, and just going, whoa! It's like Narnia's fucking. It was just like the world of Narnia to me, and they had all these little Hasbro wrestlers on the shelf. And I remember, I'm going to give you a funny story, right? So I was like 9 years old. And you know, when you're into the shittiest music when you're 9 years old until you get educated, like, I think E17 was around, and I think I was an E17 fan. Well, I was an E17 fan at the time. So I'm willing to get called out on that. That's no problem. We all have our crosses to bear. But the narrative fits the narrative, if you get me. And I remember there was a certain Rick the Model Martel figure that came out, and you remember it in the pink tights.
Yeah.
And that's all I wanted for my birthday. I said, it's all I want. Now, this is probably about, what, £8 back then?
Maybe less.
Maybe less.
Yeah, maybe less. Yeah.
And it comes, for my birthday, I get E17 tickets in the point, and I'm just like, they were like, are you not happy with that? It's like, yeah, I kind of wanted Rick the Model Martel though.
Yeah. I wanted the £7 thing, not the £50 thing.
They probably dropped more money than they needed to. I was like, this kid, I was very easily pleased. You know what I mean? Like, put the kid, like, nobody puts baby in the corner, but put Dynamo in the corner, and I was very fucking happy. You know what I mean? I eventually got the Richter Model Martel figure the next day with my own money, my own birthday money. So my dad and all was kind of like, "You ungrateful little shit," you know.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But
Yeah,
so yeah, that it was two things. It was that, and it was the Turtles figures that really set me off in my own. I think the first ever figure, like the first ever figures, should I say, that I collected, out of my own kind of, I suppose, that I can remember collecting. You know, it's a wrestling podcast, so um, I don't want to spend too much time on other things. But it probably would have been Batman 1989 when they came out, and Beetlejuice. But I'm quite clearly a big fan of Michael Keaton,
yeah,
um, and the Hasbro figures. They were and the Turtles. All four of them were my and oh sorry, sorry, I'll tell a lie. It's actually weird that I remember this now. The first was Batman, Turtles, and Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Yeah,
So the Ghostbusters, and then when they actually brought the Hasbro line out, which came a little bit after that, probably about a year later, 6 months later, they were the four things that really got me in to become a collector, basically.
cool.
And
Yeah, I remember back to them because I used to collect the Star Wars figures, and
sure,
that was my
yeah,
first introduction to Hasbro figures.
that was
So
before my time. Yeah,
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 so naturally the move to Hasbro's for wrestling was a natural move really because I was so used to the old Hasbro figures for Star Wars and the Kenner ones as well. So they were always much smaller. So the Hasbro wrestling ones always appealed to me. You know, they were kind of cool.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I loved how small they were, and like I remember, I'll give you a funny story about Hasbro. I know everybody that's a Hasbro fan knows about the ring when it came in
Yeah,
that beautiful square box, and it
yeah,
was Ultimate Warrior and Hogan and all on the front of it. And
mm.
I remember I got that for one birthday too. And I remember they gave it to me early morning. You know what I mean? They put it at the
Yeah,
end of my bed like it was like Christmas came. Like,
nice.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
And but they were like, but you're not allowed to open it until you go to school. You can do it tomorrow, or sorry, you can do it later when you come home from
home.
school. And we'll put it together. And I remember my uncle Brian, actually, who lives over in Madrid now. Shout out to Brian. Was always my favorite uncle, and he actually made it his mission to come home from work and come down and help me put the ring together and all that kind of thing. And it was just amazing, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
think that's what's great about these shows is it's nostalgia. It takes you to a
yeah,
time when you know things were innocent. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah,
When the big bad world didn't kind of
yeah.
rear its ugly head and show you what reality is, I suppose.
Yeah. When things didn't become bills.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Although there's a caveat to that: when you get older and you can afford your own figures, then it's even worse. But anyway, we'll get to that.
true. Um, so in terms of your collection, I know, like obviously you're mad into music and stuff like that and everything, but sticking with the wrestling,
Yeah,
in terms of wrestling, is it mainly figures or is there signed memorabilia or is it a mixture or
Niall, you know the answer to that question, but for the people that don't and that are listening now, I'm pretty much a lot of stuff. You know that I'm very, very. I know you mentioned it on the last show with Craig. I have a very unique collection of just collectibles in general. I've never been into like kind of signed pictures and stuff like that. I mean, I've got a lot of them. I've got like signed pictures with me and the better half, Rachel. You know, with Shawn Michaels, for example, and it's a nice personal photo that the two of us are in, and it's pretty cool to have. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Meeting someone that was kind of someone I looked up to. A lot of people don't think I love
yeah,
Shawn Michaels, but I do.
yeah,
Um, then I've got signed Brett memorabilia. I've got tons of books and stuff signed. So, but like signatures was never really a big deal for me.
mm,
Um, I don't know why it was never a big deal for me. I can't actually put my, and I know it is for a lot of people.
yeah,
It's like trading cards and stuff like that was never a big deal for me. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
It was just I always liked the physical product. I love that plastic mold of
mm,
like holding a physical.
yeah,
You know what that allowed me to do was, I mean, you're talking about a kid, as you know, I'm quite artistic in terms of maybe autistic too. Who knows? But, I I was always very into kind of my own little play world. I mean, don't get me wrong, I always had friends in school. You know what I mean? I was never kind of that loner that was kind of bullied or anything like that. So that there's none of that kind of sappy story on my part anyway. But I loved, rather than playing with friends, I used to love coming home and making my own pay-per-views. You know, I remember guys in school, I would get like a little piece of wood. It was, I know I'm doing this to you here, but it was relatively a little bit bigger than, say, you know, the actual Hasbro ring. And I would literally have, I cut it. My uncle actually done it for me. He carved like the shape of the screens that they used to have in WWE. Do you remember? Because they used to just have all the screens.
Yeah.
And I would make a different kind of a pay-per-view for each month. So each month I would actually do the pay-per-view.
Awesome.
Beside my bed, I would have the entranceway. I would have a whole setup. I think I was even smart enough one time to buy like one of those kiddie cameras. You remember, like the little instant ones?
Yeah.
And I'd like film the pay-per-views, and I'd have like the fake blood. I used to buy the fake blood in the joke shop.
Yeah.
And I'd like douse a little bit of it on the figures, like so it was easily wiped off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was super creative with shit like that, and it was like that was my happy place, dude.
Yeah, I was like that as well. I used to have when I collected the Star Wars figures, little story, I used to have a breadboard, you know, one of the old breadboards.
Sure.
And what I used to do is I used to cut the hedge clippings, and I used to stick up the hedge clippings with a little bit of blue tack and make little forests. And I do the forest moon of Endor and all, and I'd have all the figures in around it. And then for the Empire Strikes Back and the hot scene and the snow and stuff like that, I used to use the styrofoam and like break it up as snow and have it on the board and stuff like that.
Deadly,
hours and hours of entertainment out of it. Like, it was.
I had a couple of the little. I was lucky enough to have a Luke Skywalker and a Darth Vader figure that my cousin, my older cousin, because I kind of looked up to him. He was the oldest of the family. Like, he was the firstborn grandchild. I think he had about 6-7 years on me. Still very important figure in my life today, actually. But he had all the Star Wars stuff, but like no one was allowed to touch his stuff. You know what I mean? And it's kind of the way I am now. It's like, don't even. It's like Spinal Tap. Don't even look at it. Don't even touch it.
Absolutely.
You've seen enough of that one.
So listen, I know the viewers are waiting with bated breath. So give us a look at some of the pieces that you've picked out to show us this evening.
Do you know what? I've lots of figures here. Now, a lot of I'm not going to show you much Hasbro stuff and all, because all my Hasbro stuff is locked away in a vault in Bray, believe it or not, still. A lot of it's actually painted over. I redone some of the characters, like, because when I turned over to WCW, I made WCW characters out of the old lads. So they probably look absolutely horrible these days. But no, I have a couple of pieces here. I'm going to start with this one, actually, because if we talk about nostalgia, right? And we talk about, I'm a sucker for nostalgia, and I know you are too.
Yeah.
But I have this bad boy, right? Do you remember this? You don't remember this, kids. This is actually what we call VHS. Like, when you open this beautiful little tape, right? It looks like this. It looks like eyes. And there you go. Look at that.
Flip the thing with the button at the side. Show them the actual piece of tape. Yeah,
there we go.
There you go. Opens up. So this is like a cassette. This was our Netflix.
So this is exactly what you had. So at the side here, you've got a tape, and it literally has a line. You can probably get the shine on it a little bit.
Yeah.
And this would go in this beautiful little box here. And this is still, I have this from the first time that it was actually sold to, I believe my dad or my uncle actually got it for me in the old VHS store. Like, you'd have tiny little VHS stores, like in Bray, like what are now little corner shops.
Somebody called Advanced Vision or something. Extra Vision, Advanced Vision.
They weren't
Sharp Boosters.
Sometimes we were so poor, believe it or not, that my dad would actually have to rent out a VHS system for the weekend. So I would get 2 movies of my choice for the weekend. And they were never movies.
And the player.
And the player.
Yeah.
And then my uncle and my dad, because he was going through divorce at the time with my mom, and they would have the adult movies, and I was never allowed to stay up for that. But I'd get the pizza and all to watch, So I'd probably get like the Turtles movie, but then I'd get like WrestleFest 89.
Yeah.
It was like there's 2 VHSs in one. I was like, you said I could have it. So yeah, this one here means a lot to me. You can actually see, if you look really closely, you can see the cracks there that's held in with sellotape. Because Niall, as you mentioned earlier, you used to have to open up the VHS.
The clips, the clips. Yeah.
And sometimes the bastards would just put them in too tight.
Yeah. The only thing I hated about the old VHS rentals is they gave them to you in a blank box, so you didn't actually get the video box, which was disappointing. Because as we know, when you look at the Tag Classics and the DVDs and all, it's the artwork and the boxes on them that are so cool.
And I was such a little schemer, even at a young age, that I was like trying, because I was good at art, I was trying to like write out, what it said on the VHS and take the sticker off and replace the sticker with something. Always got caught on.
Love VHS.
I suppose off the back of that one, Niall, this is something that you procured for me. That it was a very important piece for me. And it is it's the classic, it's the old Jakks classics, Jakks Pacific classic,
super size,
and it's Zeus, and obviously we lost Zeus quite a while ago. Tiny Lister, who was of course of absolutely of legendary fame with the Friday films as well. And this one for me was a really important one, and you got it for me at a fairly good price as well, I believe. So that's actually one that was that one means a lot to me purely because I got it at the right time. And it's still in the box as well. Like that's never coming out of the box. You know what I mean? I think any of the Jakks I have, it will never come out of the box, Sticking with the Jakks, I got this from a guy that I don't believe he knew what he had. Whoever you are out there, thank you very much. Rest in peace. It's the Jesse Ventura Jakks, but it's actually signed by Jesse.
So cool.
And there's a certificate of authenticity as well somewhere up there with it as well. So that's a really nice piece. Upstairs, I actually, unfortunately, the missus went to bed after a long day of work and actually done a pretty mean workout session today, and I literally forgot the Simpsons one. It's up there. I have the Simpsons Brett one signed with pink marker, brilliant. But you've seen it, so you can verify.
Cool figure.
Yeah, you can verify that it's in my possession. But this one I really love. Like I mean, anyone that listens to the Four Podmen knows how much Jesse Ventura means to me. This one's really cool for me. It's like that's never getting out of the box. You know what I mean? It's
absolutely
There's certain things I take out of the box. I am all about letting figures breed. I'm of the Matt Cardell type of opinion.
I'm the opposite.
I'm a Zack Ryder guy, but again, another one. Now this is a bit more of a modern piece, as you can tell. It's the Storm Collectibles Hulk Hogan, but if you look real close, you'll see that it's actually signed by Hollywood Hulk Hogan.
Awesome.
I procured this one from Hogan's Beat Shop over in Orlando, which you know well, Niall.
Yeah.
It's an awesome shop, by the way. Anybody that ever goes over there, whether you're a Hogan fan or not, just go in. Like there's so many pieces in there that you can buy that aren't even necessarily Hogan related. But I mean, I went in there and this bad boy was actually playing in the background, and I actually stood there for 10 minutes. And I think Rachel has a video of it, and she was like, "You've literally just turned into a 10-year-old. I love it." Like, and she wasn't even judging me. She was actually like really happy, because I suppose when you go to the parks, like I was like that for her. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this one was pretty awesome. Like, and this was only like $80, I think $80.
Very good.
Yeah, like it wasn't. I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't signed by the man for me personally. But just to have it in my possession is pretty
awesome.
It's a pretty cool piece. This one, snap into it. This is something that, I mean, like, let's have a look at the back if we can read that there. If you can read that there, Niall, I don't know whether you can. There you go, you can.
Yeah, you're getting a bit of it. Yeah.
Nutritional facts. So, amount per serving on a daily value. Meat 100%, spice 100%, juicy taste 100%, excitement 100%, macho madness 100%, boredom 0%, snap 1000%. Percent daily values are based on activities that cause Macho Man Randy Savage to explode through nearby walls and eat Slim Jims with severe intensity.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
What a beautiful this is just a beautiful piece. Again, this is something that's never coming out of a box. This was a nice you'll see the top of it there has
it's
cool. You can already imagine what's going on here. Yeah, Rachel got this for me for Christmas last year, and good Lord, when I say I was surprised, I was super surprised because I had my eye on this, and you know how expensive these are now.
Absolutely,
because they're very, very limited. The thing about Mattel is they'll have contracts with certain, manufacturers, and they'll release a certain amount. But if you want to just look at the back first, I mean that's beautiful. But there you go.
It's unreal, isn't it?
That figure beautiful to me piece. That's just the epitome to me of what a modern wrestling figure should look like. I mean, like I say, there's certain things I'll take out of a box, and just there's certain things I can't.
It's the packaging that makes them.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Now I'll go through a few loose figures here. That mean quite a bit. We get them over because I'm very delicate with how I hold some of these bad boys because I literally don't even like a bit of dust on these. That's why I have a big cabinet that people have seen in the past, which will be making a return soon. So we'll go through a couple of these one by one and what they mean. So I'll start with these two. These two Brett ones I got on eBay when I worked for eBay. And there was a guy that had them out of the box. Now, there's not even, I'm like you, Noel, I'd be pretty meticulous. Like, I'd be asking lads for extra photos if I'm not happy with the photos that I see.
Yeah.
And I encourage anyone that's going to get into collecting, if you see anything loose, always ask for extra photos. Just if you're not happy with
just
anything.
To be sure.
Just to be sure. Yeah. But these are pristine. I mean, there's not a nick on them. And I mean, this guy here, if you were trying to buy him now out of the box, even, I think it's about 150 to 250 quid alone out of the box. This one is the Montreal Screwjob version of Brett. You can see he's got the nice little leather jacket with the original Heart Foundation logo on it too. Comes with the Canadian flag and the winged eagle. I got these for 90 quid each, or together, should I say.
Awesome.
And I was just like, I was hounding this guy till, I pretty much got him in a verbal sharpshooter. And
till you broke him down.
Broke him down. And there's no two better buckles than you or me for that. If you ever need our services, lads, we do have a side business. We can probably hook you up. But no, those two mean a lot to me because I'm like, as I said, they were Mattel versions of. I mean, this was the 1993 Brett when he wrestled Razor.
Yeah,
the cool jacket. The only thing a lot of people didn't like about this figure is that it's kind of got the plastic jacket. They probably would have preferred. It's very difficult to take out. And
so you want material.
Yeah, but it's still really cool. Like, you know what I mean? And when you do open the jacket, like it's got the whole all pink.
Yeah, the pink design on it's cool.
Yeah. This one, I suppose, is more. These two are more personable, to be fair, because people know at this stage now that I did get to fulfill my dream and at least have a wrestling match. You know what I mean? I would have told you when I was 19, 20 years old, and especially when I hurt my back, that if I just knew that I wrestled in front of two people in a wrestling ring and had a character in the show, I'd have said, shoot me in the head right now. I'm fine with that. So the man that made that happen for me, Coach, Mr. Finn Balor, to be able to find these two bad boys, in Smith's, and it's kind of weird because I'm like, don't know whether it's right if I just buy a Fergal, like a Fergal Devitt. It's like Fergal Devitt's just sitting there with his little top on, looking over at me. Whereas these are kind of iconic because you've got this, obviously, which is the SummerSlam match where he became the first Universal Champion.
Yeah.
And then you've kind of got this, which is one of the first NXT kind of the demon character that came out. So these are quite important for me as a fan now to have these, and probably sit down with him in later years and he'd be like, that's weird. And that's why I kind of refuse to buy a figure of him without face paint. You know what I mean? Because at least I can say, well, look, this is your warrior moment, So, but they are quite important, and I'm sure people will get that, get where I'm coming from with that, and I'm sure there's plenty of guys that, he also trained that, have those figures as well. This one is really important to me, and probably one of my favorite figures that I have, to be honest with you. It's one of the first Mattel releases of the original Sting, which is kind of based on the Starrcade 1997. And you'll see I've actually cheated a little bit, and I have one of the old Jakks Pacific belts on them. Because for some reason, the Jakks Pacific belts were smaller and suited the guys, but the figures were like much chunkier, as you said in the last episode. Yeah. Rey Mysterio would like be the same height as Andre the Giant, and you were going, that doesn't really do that for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's why I kind of keep the Jakks ones in the boxes, because I like the fact that they're in the boxes and they're really, really good. But I thought they're if you look at the detail of the belt that they done in Jakks, I mean, that is as close as you get to the big gold as possible. And I yoinked this off one of my older figures. I think it was a Ric Flair one with the green robe and the Jakks Pacific, because I think I got two of them for Christmas one day, kept one in the box, and I was like, right. So, but that Sting one's a big deal for me because I'm a big Stinger.
Nice.
Where else can we go? Staying with Stinger. Need I say more? And see what I mean by the belt?
Yeah, they're cool.
The belts, it's not the same as the Jakks Pacific one. It was, they kind of just done the big gold that WWE kind of presented. But this figure in particular, I mean, this is Bash at the Beach 90. It's iconic. I love everything about that figure. You know what I mean? I really do. I think it's fucking awesome. And I pretty much think I have every Sting figure that there is, including the ones that are coming on the way soon from the old WCW releases. These two, I thought I'd leave these two to last.
Nice.
I mean, it's the original and then the second coming, right?
Yeah, I love the one with the cravat. One with the cravat is so cool.
Yeah, me too. Mask. Me too. And I like the way he has the Phantom mask as well. Yeah. And that's very relevant at the moment because they were found on the A&E documentary series where Undertaker finds both of these. And it was kind of like, wow. And kind of Rachel was even watching them going, oh, that's really cool that he had them. And, this mask just happened to be there,
Yeah, that's cool.
So to have those two is pretty cool. And it's weird, isn't it? Like when the Undertaker retires, I think you realize how big a fucking fan you are of the guy.
Yeah, it's only when you don't have him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's only when you don't have him.
Don't know what you have till it's gone, kind of thing.
That's it, yeah.
So if you want to segue on something before I show the last bit.
Yeah, I suppose we should really ask you: is there one piece or one piece of memorabilia that you would like to have and have it autographed by someone, or is there a wrestler out there that you'd love to meet to get his autograph and get him to sign something that you would believe is the holy grail in your collection? What would that piece be? Have you ever thought of something, or sat in bed one night and you're scrolling eBay and you're going, I know Jason sent us a message there today on eBay about a pair of Warrior trunks that were like about $7,000. So
the Warrior trunks against the Macho Man in WrestleMania 7, yeah.
So, I mean, if budget wasn't an issue or money wasn't an issue, is there a certain piece of memorabilia you'd love to have signed by a particular wrestler? Or?
You know what's weird for me? I think when you get into the business or get involved in the business in some way, shape, or form, title belts and stuff like that don't really kind of do it for you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's no disrespect to the likes of yourself who has title belts and all in the background, but you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Like I love when you get involved and you've had matches and stuff like that. It's like, right, I don't really want that belt because I haven't won it, I haven't earned it.
Yeah.
You kind of, when you get involved in wrestling, you throw your fandom away a little bit. Does that make sense? You make a sacrifice and you throw a little bit of that fandom away. And so like a belt, you can't really have it in your cabinet unless you've earned it. That's at least where I come from. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
As much as I'd love to buy them all, it's just like a code or something, or at least it's a code that I have in my head anyway. You know what I mean?
No, we see a lot of that with lads who have grown up through the shop and stuff like that, where they've gone on to become professional wrestlers and stuff like that, and they would lose, they would get absorbed into the business and lose a little bit of the fandom that they grew up with.
Yeah,
and in some respects, forget the reason why they got into wrestling.
I agree. Now they've all come back to me in later years. It's just I just can't bring myself to buying a title belt. It's just purely because it's in my head. It's like I didn't earn that. I believe that the guy, especially fans, absolutely have every collectible belt that you can possibly have.
Yeah,
you know, that's not a knock, as I said, in any way, shape, or form. And I hope people don't think.
Yeah.
Well, I hope people don't think, and you know where I'm coming from, Noel. You can.
Well, it doesn't necessarily even have to be a belt. It doesn't have to be something large scale. Even if it's a figure you don't have in your collection that you'd love to meet that person, even if you could go back in time if they've passed and have a meeting with them and get them to sign a figure and tell a bit of a story, maybe.
I would say I think I have 90% of the figures I want, but there's always something out there. But I do have a piece here that if I could get it signed by the man, that would probably be enough. Like, and it's even ring worn gear. It's like, wow, it's nice, but do I want to smell the man's arse? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's not for me. I think. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I was able to acquire, a pair of trunks or something that someone wore, or like, if I suddenly I won the Euro Millions and Hogan's, trunks versus Andre in WrestleMania 3 became available, or Savage's trunks that he wore, against Steamboat became available, I'd be like, great, yeah. Like there's a couple of pieces that I like, you know what I mean? Nothing that I'd want, that I'd go out of my way to get signed, so to speak. But I understand the question. I have something here that in my second year in now, what is our 6th year of a relationship was brought to me on Christmas that I thought I wouldn't have. And I think there was only, now you know exactly what I'm talking about here, but I believe that there was only about maybe 300 to 400 of them made.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm into. Do you know what I mean? Like something that's very unique, very hard to get, and something that's personable.
Yeah.
And I have to say, like, this really solidified the relationship. Not with me and the man that I have a thing with put me in. I was like, how could I ever get rid of you? Honestly, like, what you're at to bring into my door here is just something I never thought. So I may as well present it, but this is super, super cool.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, let's admire the box a bit. We can see there's a bit of wear and tear and stuff because it's quite old, but like you'll see there's a whole history on the back, and it's just a phenomenal piece. And I will of course take it out to let people see it. I mean, I suppose if you ask me if there was a chance to get Brett to sign that, I'd be like, yeah, that'd be great. You know what I mean? But I don't think it would bother me if it didn't get signed either, because I know I have it. This is just, and you have to be so fucking delicate with it as well, because
it's a statue.
It really is, and it's proper. Like, you'll even see the WWE logo is ingrained in it there.
Yeah,
kind of.
But
So, without taking it out, I'll show. And this has been displayed in the past, but it's got that beautiful winged eagle, which looks exactly like,
Exactly like the one over my shoulder.
Yeah, it's got that lovely suede at the bottom of it as well for display.
Yeah.
And good Lord, lads, this is just a hell of a piece. It's funny because it's the first time I've seen it in about 2 years as well. So I'm actually getting quite emotional again looking at it.
Yeah. Super cool.
I mean, look at that.
Yeah.
Tassels actually hang down as well.
And the pose sums up the man, doesn't it?
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, to even look at the laces.
Yeah.
Like they look like ring-worn boots.
Yeah. The detail's incredible.
And that goes in pretty nicely here. And it displays as such. There you go.
Yeah, definitely a prize piece, all right. Yeah, very nice.
So, I mean, if you're asking me if there's a piece that I would want, it's probably, I would say, now that I've thought about it, I'd probably want the Piper version of this. And I'd probably want the Warrior and Savage version of it too, because there was 2 of them made.
Yeah.
They would be nice to kind of have alongside. I think more so the Piper one. I would love to have like Piper on one side and Brett on the other side and just kind of relive WrestleMania 8 in my head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's very
with
cool.
With the Intercontinental title version of this.
Yeah. That
would be pretty nice. But
pretty cool, yeah. No, it's a beautiful
yeah, and as I said, that means a lot to me because, as I said, this was bought for me by my better half, who's appeared on the network, of course, with Retrotainment, and it was just a very, very special, very, very thoughtful, special gift that I'm sure cost a pretty penny. To be fair,
absolutely.
There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
And kind of, it was like, the Beatles said, "Can't buy me love," but
you can get real close.
I beg to differ. What about you, Noel? Actually, that's a good question for you. Like if there was a piece, especially you being kind of a collector that, wants to have everything kind of wrestling that you can. Like, what would yours have been?
I haven't anything signed by the Ultimate Warrior, and I would have loved to have met him and get something signed by him.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of high up on my bucket list, in terms of, have met Warrior and got an autograph off him, and something really nice that would be autographed, would have been kind of cool. Other than that, most other stuff I generally have or I'm searching out or I'm trying to find. I've kind of a diverse mix, in terms of, you showed your Jesse Ventura there that you had signed. I have a cloned Predator pop figure, and I have Jesse's signature on it. I got Jesse to sign the Predator pop, which was kind of cool. So it wasn't quite wrestling, but it was still Jesse, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, but it's
something different.
Wrestling.
Yeah, something different, So I like getting pieces that are kind of different, I have a big goal there above my head there, signed by Goldberg, and a few other bits and pieces all signed around the place. Different stuff. Most stuff I kind of forget. It's only when I go back and look at it again and stuff like that I realize the stuff that I have. Like boxes of stuff in the attic. Half the stuff I don't even know what I have, to be honest.
I'd love to get my if I was really going back vintage, and this is probably something people would be like, what? I'd love to get my hand on a box of the original ice creams, and I mean a box of them unopened. And I know they'd probably be melted and all at this stage. But they'd still be in the wrapper. I'd love to get my hand on something like that, you know what I mean? Or one of the original buddies, like, the original buddies. Like.
Yeah, I like to get different stuff. Like even when Piper brought out the bottle of the bubble gum lemonade type thing.
I would like
to get one of those bottles or something like that, just something different,
Yeah, that's the way I kind of think. I mean, like, I know you always kind of hook me up or look after me, and you kind of sit on things for me for a while. I know you're sitting on lots of figures for me, for example, that as soon as I'm saying, right, Noel, I'm ready, here you go, give me that. You're like, there you go, boom. I mean, the one figure that I really want at the moment, and make sure it happens, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, is that re-release of the Mattel Warrior one that has the long coat on them.
Yeah.
Now I know they haven't released them in Ireland yet at the moment, haven't they not? So
No,
I think that's
they're
something
due to release in about a month or so, I think.
Yeah. So that'll be like, you know, in fairness, and this is where we go to, and this is where the cheap segue comes in. Wrestling Mania. If you need something, we're back in business soon, baby.
Yeah,
so
from this Monday.
This coming Monday.
We're back.
So go into Noel. If there's anything you need, he'll always be able to hook you up, because trust me, like, I pretty much have a good solid part of the first release of the AEW collection, thanks to Noel. Because he was able to procure them. So but I think that would be nice. I would definitely like that Ultimate Warrior one. I think that looks really cool. I like the Savage release as well. They're doing a Savage release, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they'd be the two that tickle my fancy.
Absolutely, yeah.
They're the two that tickle my fancy. I'm like you, Noel. I don't need to have every fucking character in the series. No. You know what I mean?
No.
Especially after modern guys and girls, I like to pick out what I like. You know what I mean? I have a couple of other Brett ones up there. I've the Brett. Oh, good Lord, what's the ones that they done recently where they're really detailed and they're like an extra tenner? You know, the ones they done, ones of Rousey and the Warrior, and what are they called? The Ultimate Edition.
Ultimate Editions. Yeah.
The Ultimate Edition. I have the Brett one up there, and I've still not been able to take that one out of the box. So as much as I tell you, I'm like, let them breed. It's like some things I can't let breed. Yeah. And Rachel's saying to me, take him out, display him. I'm like, I don't know.
Well, see, it's easier not to do it if you already have a few on display.
Yeah.
Whereas if you didn't have a Brett on display already, then you might be more inclined to take them out. But
yeah,
I just won't. I have them. You'll see Piper there over my other shoulder, down there. The Hasbro one, the original one, is there, and I have one of Owen Hart as well, and
I've that nice little one that I gave you, didn't I, for Christmas? Actually,
yeah, that's over there. Yeah, that's there. That's probably the place on the shelf.
Yeah,
Warriors up there on top with Vader and Barbarian and Hogan, and Brett's up there as well as part of the Hart Foundation one. Lex Luger's up there. Yeah, but it's there's some nice pieces. Like I tend to kind of collect pieces that like yourself, that remind me of moments in wrestling that I cherish from a nostalgia point of view. So they're the kind of bits I target. There's no point in going out and just buying everything, because then your collection kind of loses its reason for being a collector.
Yes.
It's with me, it's not like I've loads of stuff there, but remember, I've been collecting for 17, 18, 19 years at this stage,
exactly.
You know? Plus whatever I had as a kid and stuff like that, you know. So but I always find that like when I go in and I look at stuff, I go, yeah, that reminds me of a certain moment in wrestling that I loved. So yeah, I'd love that piece or this piece or that piece. I don't necessarily want to have the whole series, because some of it is meaningless to me, really, you know. But yeah, that's how I tend to collect. Most people tend to collect that way anyway, because especially with wrestling, with the amount of merchandise, I mean, if you collected everything, you just need a whole house.
And you'd probably need like a CEO salary as well. Like let's be real. I mean, I have a piece up there as well. Let's see if I'll find it. Yeah, I think I have it here. I may as well take it down. You'll know this, Noel, as well, because there's I'm not big. I wouldn't be mad into the Funko Pops and all. It wouldn't be my deal. But you remember this little bad boy?
Yeah, the custom one.
Yeah. So that was a custom
really
Brett, like from that Piper match that we spoke about. If you look closely, there's like little drips of blood and everything on it.
Yeah.
That Rachel got that for me on the sly while I was in the shop, which you actually believe.
That's right. Yeah, she told me to put it aside. All right. Yeah, she knew there was a certain person who would appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, and she told me to step outside for a while, and I was like, "Well, she's buying something, but I don't know what it is." Like,
and I was sworn to secrecy.
Yeah, so that was nice, and then her brother got me to. So yeah, like that's my collection. And again, we go back to the nostalgia. Like as I said, showing you those VHS things, like they mean as much to me as some figures. You know what I mean? Because again, I think anyone that collects, it's because it brings them back to maybe a happier time, or just to a more innocent time, maybe would be the right way of saying it,
Yeah, well, we always say as well, I mean, wrestling fans, like we never really grow up, and thank God we don't.
No, thank God. Yeah, there's too much nonsense in the real world as it is, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, as always, a pleasure having you on. This is the Four Podmen Collectors Corner edition. You'll find us on the Dynamo Podcast Network over on YouTube. Head over there, smash the subscribe bell notification button. Let us know what you think of Ian's collection in the comments if you have any questions for him or anything like that. And we will talk to you again real soon.
And no, I will not sell any of it.
Everybody's got a price.
No, not me.